Well, you saw what happens when guys don't perform the night prior. Comes back to bite you later down the road. And that's exactly what happened here with the Red Sox today. Bullpen having to get stretched out a little bit more yesterday. Aroldis Chapman having to come in for a second straight night after Isaiah Campbell wasn't able to lock it down in Game 2. Didn't have Chapman for today. You didn't have your best arm at the end of the game. And the Red Sox bullpen unable to hang on to this one here today. One move with the bullpen here today, I don't want to say I wasn't a big fan of it, but it was questionable. We can take a look at the numbers and we can go talk about it. One move with the bullpen, wasn't too sure about it. I think I might even have to sleep on it a little bit more. But the Red Sox having their issues here today, but give a lot of credit here to the Marlins, right? We saw in the first couple of games there was a feistiness to this Marlins team. A Marlins team that didn't go down easily. A team that was going to battle you all the way until the end. And they showed that here today, battling back late here today. Even overcoming their own miscues in this one here today. Dane Myers, my goodness. The guy looked like he had one of the best catches of the year, and then it turned into one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? One of the most silly moments of the year. Ball bouncing out of his glove and into the Red Sox bullpen for a home run today off the bat of Wilyer Abreu. But then Dane Myers making it up later in the game here today in a big way. So the Marlins, tip of the cap to them. They're going to be a fun team for next year. I was wondering if maybe they could get red hot here and be, America's team here, and just get absolutely crazy going down the stretch and maybe even go for a wild card. Not sure if that's going to happen now. But next year, I'm going to be interested in this Marlins team. We will see. But in the end, the Red Sox, a sweep would have been nice. A sweep is always very good to get. In the end, you want to win series. That's what you want. But it is frustrating when you had the sweep in hand. But again, this is where you look. You don't just look at one game. A lot of the times you got to look at what happens over the course of an entire series. And today, that bit the Red Sox here in this one. Little things can come back to bite you. But as for the bullpen here today, sure, you can look at Isaiah Campbell yesterday. You didn't have Chapman for today. But Garrett Whitlock, this guy's been amazing as of late. Not great here today. Greg Weissert, you're going to have this with Greg Weissert. There's going to be times where he's gonna lock it down for the most part, and then there's going to be other times where he's just going to have a bad outing. Right, that just happens with Greg Weissert. That is what comes to the table with Mr. Weissert. And then Steven Matz. I was thinking about this today when Steven Matz gave up the home run. I couldn't help but think to myself yesterday. Couldn't help but think, I think I jinxed it. I jinxed it because I had talked about how Steven Matz hadn't given up a run with the Red Sox since coming over in the trade. And, of course, today is when he gives up the big blow. Man, oh man, Steven Matz. We'll talk about Steven Matz here in a little bit. But as for Wilyer, good day for him. Good day. Had himself a nice line there. He got a little help from Dane Myers there. Got the home run. But overall, pretty solid day for him. But he did leave the game here today. He tweaked something in the knee or something with the leg on the sacked fly. It wasn't too noticeable, but he ended up coming out. The Red Sox, they had to move a bunch of guys in. Alex Bregman, he came into play. Said he had to go back out to the outfield. Toro moved over to first. Romy over to second. So, yeah. So, hopefully Wilyer's okay. We'll talk about that. But if Wilyer is going to miss some time, could this be an opportunity for a certain password to maybe get the call? We will see. But other than Wilyer, the Red Sox, they were cooking a couple of times here today. They did make an effort there in the ninth to make it a bit interesting. But overall today, the offense, they had a bit of a tough time against Jansen Junk, right? Gave up the home run. But again, that was in the glove of Myers. Overall, a pretty good day for him. And we talked about this yesterday where you look at the FIP compared to the ERA, his was lower than his ERA. A guy that doesn't strike out a bunch of the hitters out there, but He's going to throw strikes. He's going to pitch more to contact. And, a guy that held his own for the most part here today. He went 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned, 6 Ks on the day. The Red Sox only 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. 7 strikeouts total on the day. Not terrible, but, they just couldn't really figure him out. They couldn't really get anything going. Speaking of injuries, hopefully we get an update on Wilyer soon. I haven't seen anything. I mean, I'm always getting ready for the show at right around the 7th, 8th inning. But taking a look here, let me actually see, was there any updates on Wilyer? Okay, so I guess he talked post-game. We do have this. Wilyer, this is from Gordo, Boston Sports Gordo on Twitter. He said, Wilyer told the post-game media that he'll be down for a couple of days, but he's hopeful to be ready for the series in New York that starts Thursday. It was a calf injury. Okay. So I couldn't tell if it was something with the knee, something elsewhere in the leg. He was walking a little gingerly. You got to be careful with these calf injuries. You got to be careful. Hopefully it was just more of a cramp. Hopefully that's, those calf cramps, man. Got to watch out. But hopefully it's nothing serious. We'll keep an eye on this in the next couple of days. But if it ends up being something that becomes problematic, I wonder if Yo Stinson could maybe get the call. We will see on that. But another injury update, Marcelo Meyer. We did get the bad news. Marcelo Meyer will be undergoing season-ending wrist surgery. Not surprised by that. We've talked about this before. With Marcelo Meyer, hurting his wrist on a swing, it's one of those injuries, man. You never want to mess around with the wrist. And that's always going to be something that's going to be problematic. We've seen it with guys like Nomar in the past, right? You got to be careful with the wrist, man, especially with the hitters. Got to be careful. So I do think this is the right route to go. I was more leaning towards the Red Sox not wanting to push it with him, not wanting to get crazy, take care of it now, have an off season to recover, and then come back next season. So Marcelo Meyer is done for the year. Tough news, because I was enjoying Marcelo Meyer this year. This was a guy that he brought something to the table, right? He wasn't doing exactly what Roman Anthony's doing, but he was bringing you solid defense wherever he was playing, whether it was third base, second base, wherever. But he brought that calm attitude. He just had I know all the people today, they like to use the word aura, but he brought a little something of that. I wouldn't say maybe Roman kind of level, but he brought a bit of a cool factor to him, right? A guy that didn't seem to be fazed by a lot of the big moments. So Marcelo Meyer, he was a treat to watch. I enjoyed Marcelo Meyer in the small sample that we did. So bummer of news here today. But everybody, if you can, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 5K by the end of the season. We're drawing closer and closer to that. We are within 500 subscribers. If you can make us, or if you could help us get to 5K subscribers, I'll love you forever. I'll love you forever no matter what, though. So, but thank you for all the support, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to it here today. Let's get to it. Let's start off with Garrett Crochet. A good bounce-back performance here for Crochet. Remember last time out against the Astros, he was giving up a lot of hard-hit balls. And, actually, I will say this today. The Marlins, they were getting some good wood on Crochet here today. A lot of hard-hit balls off of him. 8 hard-hit balls on the day. The fastball was getting hit very hard today. Over 107 miles an hour exit velo on average for today. So the fastball was hittable with him, but he was still getting a lot of swing and miss as well. 29% whiff rate on the day. Good mix of fastballs, cutters, sweepers, and the sinkers as well. His velo was actually up today, a full mile per hour on average on the year. So Crochet, this guy was revving it up here. The Marlins, they actually did get the scoring started early today in the third. Wagaman, Mr. Eric Wagaman. I do love that name. It's such a fun name to say. Eric Wagaman. But he had the homer. He had himself a good series. He had himself a good game here today. But then Crochet, he locked in after that. This guy was just a freight train pretty much. Again, he was giving up some hard-hit balls, but they weren't able to get anything going really at all against Crochet. Gave up a couple of base hits, had a walk. But other than that, just a good day for Crochet. Struck out 8 overall. He went 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 8 Ks on the day against the Marlins. But getting to the offense here, this was, not a terrible day. I'm not going to expect the Red Sox to be scoring, 5, 6, 7, 15, 25 runs every single game. But, there were times today where it felt like you could have had a bit more on the board. 4th inning, that's when the Red Sox got it started for themselves. Duran had the walk. He stole second. That was his 20th on the year. And then Wilyer, home run there. I mean, I've already mentioned it a couple of times, right? Gave it a deep drive out to right. Dane Myers made a great attempt at it. Was in the glove, bounced out of his glove, over the wall. Listen, I'm glad Wilyer got the home run, obviously, but I can't help but feel terrible for the guy at the same time. It's like, goodness gracious. I mean, what an effort he made. And for that, we've seen that over the years, right? Just these... it's definitely not the Jose Canseco level where the ball bounced off of his head. I always laugh at that, man. It's always so funny when the ball bounced off of his head and it went over the fence. I always laugh at that. It makes me giggle every time I see it. I just even thinking about it right now, I can't help but laugh at it. No, but it wasn't that level. In the end, though, the Red Sox, they got a bit of a birthday gift on that one. 6th inning, Duran, 33rd double on the year, but then Massa with the strikeout today. He came through yesterday, wasn't able to here today. The 7th inning, you're thinking the Red Sox, they're padding up a nice sweep here today. They were, getting a bit more offense going in the 7th inning. Wilyer, Romy, back-to-back base hits. Toro with the sac fly, made it 3-1. And then Romy ended up stealing second. But then Seti with the K. But I don't like to complain about umpires. I don't. It's something I'm not a big fan of doing because it's always going to go both ways. But wow, that one, man. I'm not a fan of when the umpires... Obviously, I'm not a fan of bad calls, right? Of course. I know it goes both ways, but I am not a fan of when an ump has a really bad call in a pretty key spot. And... sure, the Red Sox at the time, they had the lead. You're thinking, all right, whatever. But, man, in hindsight, you look back to that one, you're thinking, what the? Holy cow. I mean, that was a horrible pitch from Junk there. It was way below the zone. Called a strike. Seti goes down. Horrible call from the ump. Home plate umpire today was Jim Wolf. But, yeah, it was a terrible call. Terrible call. And then Roman had the ground out. 9th inning, you were able to get something cooking there. Well, let's go to the bullpen. Let's go to the bullpen here. And just overall, a sloppy day. 8th inning, Whitlock came in. And this is where, again, Whitlock in the 8th, I saw some people saying, why didn't you just save Whitlock for the end of the game? Why didn't you... have him be your closer today? But then you can always look at it from the other angle, right? Well, you got to get there first, and Whitlock, at the end of the day, the guy's been nails as of late. So they brought him in for the 8th. Marcy had the base hit. Edwards, ground ball, ended up being safe at first on a double play attempt. So that was a big reason for the Marlins staying alive here today. Augusto Ramirez with a hit by pitch. So yeah, Whitlock struggling with command here today. Hicks, base hit. They made it 3-2. And then he struck out Sonoja to end the 8th inning. But I give a lot of credit to Xavier Edwards, man. I told you all coming into this series, look out for Xavier Edwards. This guy is just a headache. Makes a ton of contact. He's got a ton of speed. A guy that you just hate to go up against, right? Big fan of Xavier Edwards. So you saw that talent there today. And then the 9th inning, man. Greg Weissert coming in. Hung a slider on the second pitch. Home run to center field. That's just what you're going to get with Weissert. Has been pretty solid as of late, but, once in a while, he's going to cough one up. And he did here today. Tough spot. Wagaman with the base hit there. Here was the bullpen decision that I think was a little questionable. Steven Matz coming in here. And I totally understand why you bring Steven Matz into this situation, right? Lefty, right? He was coming in against Marcy. And Cora, I mean, listen, this is what he's always done. He goes lefty a lot, righty. He likes those matchups. But Greg Weissert, is there an argument for Weissert to stay in the game? Even though, he gave up the home run, he gave up the base hit. Could you have kept Weissert in this game? And I understand some of you might be rolling your eyes at that, thinking, what, Robbie, what are you talking about? Well, when you take a look at the numbers, and if you really want to look at the analytics, I mean, Greg Weissert has had success against lefties this year. His FIP against lefties is a 3.61. Batters are only hitting 213 against him. Left-handed batters are only hitting 213. And against righties, a 4.29 on the FIP. Batters are hitting 233. Sorry, I keep forgetting to say which hand. The right-handed batters are hitting 233. So a little better when it comes to, those metrics, right? So could you have left Greg Weissert in this game? I understand the urgency there. I get it, right? Obviously, lefty. And Matz has been good. But then you do look a little further with Steven Matz. Yes, he has been solid since coming over. And after the fact, I actually went to go take a look at some more numbers. Steven Matz in high leverage situations, right, especially late in games, has not been very good. His numbers his ERA is way up there with high leverage situations. So I understand going to him there. And I understand pulling Weissert. I think, this is probably more of a hindsight kind of a reaction, but, just interesting. All right, but then Matz, he came in. Marcy had the home run. He left the sinker up. A bit outside, but, credit to Marcy getting the bat on the ball there. And that was it, pretty much. The offense, they had something cooking there in the ninth and weren't able to get it done there, right? One swing of the bat, you could have had a different result here, but it is what it is. So again, circling back here, this is where you look back at, Isaiah Campbell yesterday. You had a big lead there, wasn't able to nail it down. You had to bring in Chapman. And today you could have had Chapman locking this down here. It is what it is. In the end, you get the series win. It's not the end of the world here, but you would have liked to get the sweep here today. So it is what it is. We'll check out the standings in just a little bit. I do see a lot of you filing on in. I see a lot of familiar faces here in the chat. Monk Mode, Emily, Oscar, what's going on? Juan, Phoenix, how we doing? James, Andrew, how we doing? Swifty Edits, Jules, hello, how we doing? Brighton, Eric, what's going on? Everybody, if you can, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We do have a word from today's sponsor. I'll be right back. The dog days of summer means it's time for the boys of summer to kick it into gear, and the best way to cash in on your baseball IQ is with the DraftKings Sportsbook. If you've never bet on baseball before, well, it's simple. You pick a guy to go yard, you hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride with your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. And here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Alrighty then, let's get to the next series. The show must go on, ladies and gentlemen. It must go on. A bummer of a day here, but we keep on moving here. We got Baltimore coming up next here. And, before we get to Baltimore, let's actually check on the standings. And as of right now, That's a bummer here today. The Blue Jays lost here today against the Rangers. You could have gained a game. All right, but now you remain 5 games back. Could have been a very nice win here today. Would have been a feel-good win all the way around. But checking on the wild card standings here, the Mariners are playing tonight, I believe. Yes, they are playing tonight. And they're actually playing at Williamsport, so I think that's the Little League game, right? So, pretty neat. But taking a look here, as of right now, the Red Sox still in that second wild card spot. So depending on what happens with the Mariners here, we could either stay tied for the first wild card spot, or the Mariners will move a full game ahead. Now the Yankees, I believe, are winning here against St. Louis. They tied it. They have tied it here in the top of the 7th. What was the last thing that happened? Cody Bellinger with the sac fly. All right, so the Yankees are tied with the Cardinals right now in St. Louis, 4-4, bottom of the 8th. Luke Weaver on the mound. We'll have to keep our eyes on that one. But as of right now, as we speak, the Yankees are in the third wild card spot. The Guardians lost again here today, so now they're 3 out. So right now, I mean, you got the 3 wild card teams in a pretty firm position. The Royals, they have won their last 3. I believe they are playing tonight as well against the White Sox. But no, the Royals, they just won. Okay, sorry. The Royals just won here. And so they've now won 3 straight. So they're 3.5 back here. The Rangers, again, they beat the Blue Jays today. They're 5 out. So, I mean, right now, you got 3 teams firmly in wild card position. And the Guardians, Royals, a few games out. So we'll have to keep an eye on this for this next week. Now, for the next series, taking a look-see, got a 2-game series against the Orioles, and then we got the off day on Wednesday. Trevor Rogers going for the Orioles in Game 1 against Dustin May, who's going to be making his 3rd start with the Red Sox. He looked great his last time out. And for Game 2 here, you got Tomoyuki Sagano, who's been pretty solid this year for the Orioles, going up against Mr. Box of Chocolates, Walker Buehler. You just don't know what you're going to get. Now, for Trevor Rogers here in Game 1, he was looking like an absolute bust. My goodness. When they made the trade when the Orioles and the Marlins made the trade last year at the deadline, I mean, you're thinking, oh, cool, all right, hey, the Orioles, man, they picked up a pretty solid arm here in Trevor Rogers, and then after that, he completely fell off a cliff. I mean, the numbers were horrible. He got sent back down to the minors at one point, but he's been very good this year. 11 starts, ERA at a 1.43, FIP at a 2.45, striking out 7.8 batters per 9. The walks are way down with Trevor Rogers this year. He had 4 walks per 9 last year, down to 1.9 this year. And his home runs are way down. I believe he's only given up 2 home runs all year. In 11 starts, he's only given up 2 home runs. So he's pitching very well. Taking a look here at the metrics with Rogers. Now, he's pretty middle of the road when it comes to the batted ball profile. A little below average. 40th percentile exit velo, 42nd percentile chase rate, 41st percentile whiff percentage. Right there in the middle with the strikeouts. But he's, like I just said, with the walk rate, doing very well there. He's throwing a lot of strikes this year. So that kind of makes me think there's something going on mechanically last year with him. Maybe he was dealing with some kind of an injury as well. It's possible. Sure, the exit velo doesn't rank very well, but he's not giving up a lot of barrels either. So he's doing a great job at limiting the home runs. Still, batters are finding a way to get a decent amount of good contact against him. It's just not leaving the yard. So it's working out for him up to this point. Ground balls, 75%, so he's going to let the defense work behind him. So, you're not going to see a ton of strikeouts with Trevor Rogers, but he's going to pitch a bit more to contact. And so far this year, he's doing pretty well. Now, with Tomoyuki Sagano, he's been interesting. He's a very interesting case because the ERA is a 4.13. The FIP is a 4.90. Not a lot of strikeouts with him. This is another... Rogers is a bit more pitch to contact, but Sagano, he really goes that way. Only 5.8 strikeouts per 9, which that's just crazy to see in today's game when strikeouts are just... they're just such a big deal in today's game. So seeing Sagano have, at least a decent amount of success here while only striking out under 6 batters per 9, pretty good. He's going to throw a ton of strikes, 2.2 walks per 9. He's going to be prone to the home run ball, 1.5 home runs per 9. So, when you're looking at the way Trevor Rogers is pitching, and when you look at Sagano, Sagano at Fenway Park, I'm interested to see what the Red Sox can do against him. But, with Rogers pitching well, there's definitely a chance here that you could see a split. You just don't know what's going to happen with Dustin May. The first start didn't look great. Last start against Houston, he looked fantastic. Let's see if he can keep that going, right? I'm not sure what you're going to get here. But if we're going off of last start, then hopefully good things to come for Dustin May. And Walker Buehler, it's the same thing. I don't even know what to think about Walker Buehler at this point. Mr. Box of Chocolates. Hopefully we get a good one from Buehler in Game 2. But, everybody, if you are watching on Nesson, we do have to wrap it up right there. We are out of time. But if you want to see the mailbag portion of today's show, coming over to Monster Territory on YouTube, I'm going to be taking a look at some of the questions you all submitted on Twitter, and we'll have some fun with that. But everybody on Nesson, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night for the post-game show. So, let's get to the mailbag, shall we? Let's get to the mailbag. We had a few questions on here. Taking a look-see. Sam Peebles. What's going on, Sam? What do you got for me, Sam? If the Red Sox make it to the wild card round but exit in that round, would you consider that a win for this season? I mean, I'm always a glass half full kind of a guy. That's progress in the end, right? So I'm going to look at that. But, when you look at the talent that this team has, I do think this team is way more capable of getting past or of being more than just a wild card team, right? I think they are fully capable of at least making it to the division round. I think they're absolutely capable of making it to the American League Championship Series. I do wonder at this point, unless we, really start seeing everything for the most part fully being cleaned up here over the next month and a half, I do wonder how deep they can go in the postseason. I just wonder about the bullpen, especially, they've had their ups and downs. We'll see how that goes defensively. They've been pretty clean for the most part. How are they going to do against these good teams, right? I mean, sure, you can play well and, against these teams that are, below 500, right? But how are you going to do against these top teams? That's kind of what I'm thinking at this point when it comes to the Red Sox. But, they are absolutely talented to go on a run. I do think that. I also wonder who is going to be the guy behind Crochet. Is Giolito going to be able to be a bona fide Game 2 guy? Brian Bayo. You think back to the deadline, could you have gotten someone? I don't know. No point thinking back to that at this point. But I just wonder, there's a lot of talent here, obviously. I do just wonder, is it enough to go on a deep run? So that's where my expectations, I'm tempering them to a degree. To where if they don't win the World Series this year, I'm not gonna be, heartbroken. I mean, I'll be bummed out, of course. Like, if you want to think back to a time where I was heartbroken over a Red Sox team not being able to go on a run or not being able to win at all, I go back to 2008. I really do. That 2008 team, I thought they were well capable of repeating after 2007. I really thought that team had what it took to win it all that year. Yeah, that was a tough one for me, right? So I don't think I would be at the same level of that year. I also think back to the Celtics when they won, Game 7 against the Lakers. That Celtics team was so good. and they had the injury there with was it Perkins, right? And that team was fully capable of winning a championship. That was a heartbreaker, right? So, this it wouldn't be the most heartbreaking loss for me if they ended up getting knocked out, but it wouldn't be up there, I would say. Obviously, I'd be bummed out if they got knocked out. But when you look back to the Red Sox over the last few years, you're building back, right? So this year, to me, this is the best they've looked, since 2021, right? And 2021, you could even say was a bit of a blur, right? That kind of, in a sense, came out of nowhere. No one was believing in that Red Sox team going into the year, and all of a sudden, they're 2 wins away from a World Series. So it's kind of where I'm at with that one. Yeah, we'll see. But I definitely think they're capable of getting past the wild card round. And I think they can get to the championship series. I do think that's possible, right? Sam, I hope that answered your question. Let's get to it. From Boston Sports. If Wilyer is out for an extended period of time, would you rather Campbell come up to play left field or Garcia to play right field, first base? It's interesting. It is interesting. Could this be a chance for Christian Campbell to come back up, play some outfield? Or do you give a shot to the password? I think that's possible. The password was playing some first base here today. There was one play in particular. He made a nice scoopy scoop at first base. I think that's interesting. I wonder with the Red Sox, how long do they want to keep Campbell down there? He has been hitting a lot better as of late, but I'm wondering, how they're feeling about the metrics with him. Are they fully comfortable with him coming back up to the major league level? Now, sure, you can look at the stat line, looks good, but when you're in the minors, you need to focus on the metrics, right? How hard are you hitting the ball? How much are you chasing outside of the zone? How are you doing? How much are you pulling the ball, especially in Campbell's case, right? He is definitely got to pull the ball more, right? And he has been down in the minor leagues since going back down. So I think it's those little things that the Red Sox are going to be looking out for, because those are the things that you have to focus on at the major league level. So it'll be interesting. If they're comfortable, then I could definitely see Campbell coming back up. If they're not fully comfortable with it, then I think the password could get a shot if Wilyer is going to miss some time. So let's go. Let's do one more here. Let's pick one out. And maybe we can do a couple. We got Dave Austin. It is getting bright in my apartment right now. My goodness. It is getting bright. The sun just came out. But if possible, would you like to see, who would you like to see for an offseason trade? Brian Wu or Joe Ryan? Or who would you like to see Craig to sign? I don't think the Mariners are going to trade Brian Wu. I don't see that happening. I think Joe Ryan is way more realistic. I mean, they were in conversations at the deadline. Just seemed like they basically ran out of time. I think in the offseason, that's going to be way more realistic. You never know, though. Other teams can get involved, will get involved as well. Or who would you like to see Craig to sign in free agency? I'm very curious if they're going to go back after Shane Bieber. All right, he's still coming back from Tommy John. I don't think he's made a start yet with the Blue Jays. I still think he's on a rehab assignment. I do think Bieber is going to be a target. I know we're still in this year. I don't see the Red Sox bringing back Walker Buehler. I have a hard time unless they go for other guys and they go elsewhere, and then Buehler maybe comes back on, like a different kind of a deal or something like that. I could see Buehler being a fallback option. But I think Bieber, that's a guy I do believe they're going to go after. Do I think they're going to go after Dylan Cease or Framber Valdez? I think they'll be in the conversation. I think Cease is interesting because, I mean, hey, they obviously landed Bregman, a Boris client. But with Cease, the metrics look good with him this year. He has the stuff that the Red Sox like. He has the swing and miss. So I could see the Red Sox being interested. And maybe the overall numbers on the year maybe brings down that value a little bit. But I do think they're going to be looking for a big payday, and I wonder if that's going to be outside of the Red Sox comfort zone. I think the same thing for Framber Valdez. I just have a hard time seeing the Red Sox going after him. I just think he's going to get a lot of money, and I have a hard time seeing the Red Sox paying that much money to a pitcher on a long-term deal. Like Shane Bieber makes sense if you can get like a 2 or 3 year deal. Someone like that, someone in that tier, I would say. But trade-wise, I think Joe Ryan makes a lot of sense because the Red Sox have a surplus of prospects. So, I think that is very realistic. Very realistic. Let's do one more here. One more. I had a few of you asking about Wilyer Abreu, about whether or not, if he's out for a while, do they go with the password? Again, I think that's possible. One more. Let's see. What do we got? How about this one? Last one. What do you think the Red Sox final record is going to be? 94-68 is what he thinks. Well, I think right now, I'd say how many games have we got here? Let's do a little bit of math. So I'm not good at math in my head. So they're at 125 games in. So you got 37 games left to play. So right now they are on pace. So they're on pace right now for 88 wins. So you would have to go 20-14 the rest of the way. I think because they have been playing so much better as of late. I mean, that's also accounting for the first half, right? But lately, I think, with how they've been playing, I think 92 wins, that feels right. I think 91-92, that's kind of where I'm at right now with this Red Sox team. So, everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Thank you for joining me here today. Bummer of a loss. You could have had the sweep. It is what it is. You got the series win. Man, would have liked that sweep, though. If you're kind of the way out, hit the like button for me, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you tomorrow.